Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 93 of the cast. Tonight, we've got myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zebrewolf. We're going to be talking about just nerdy news from the week. It's been a slow week, so yeah, we've no new content. So let's just jump into it and see where the conversation goes. This one is just it's completely off the cuff. It's willy nilly, so I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. Let's find out. Bro, what's up? How are you?
What's going on, man?
Man, I gotta say, like, this is probably the quietest week since we've started this podcast. Like, honestly,
Mhm.
like I feel like there's nothing to talk about this week, and I was half kind of tempted to kind of just text you and just say, look, oh, will we just leave it this week? But you were like, let's do it, let's do it. So I was like, okay, Grant, you kind of
Yeah,
you pushed me this week to do it, so I'm thankful.
there,
So
yeah.
fingers crossed it'll be a good one.
There's always something to go through, like something to find. Like there's all kinds of rumors that hit the street, and some of them are pretty interesting. So let's check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, I know I have on the thumbnail, I have Adam Driver as Reed Richards, and I believe that he has actually been offered that role, and I hear it's done.
Yeah,
So that's like pretty safe to say that that's a done deal. So I heard Margot Robbie got offered it, but she hasn't accepted it yet. So I was going to put a Margot Robbie thumbnail, but I was like, maybe not. I was like, let's leave the thumbnail as Driver, because I hear it's like officially done. So
right.
um,
Yeah, I mean it. Like for Margot Robbie, I can see why she's become quite like the character in most like superhero movies. I mean, being Harley Quinn and whatnot. I remember we were talking about that in the last podcast, and it just it seems like for Sue Storm, I don't think it fits well for her, considering that she's kind of a character. She's kind of an actor who kind of like has this portrayal of like, oh, I'm here for mayhem, and Sue Storm isn't really that kind of person. But I mean, you never know. Like, what if Margot Robbie has great range? I know she was in The Wolf of Wall Street.
yeah, yeah. Like, I've seen her in a few things. Focus, she was good in that, and I hear she's good in Babylon and a few other things. Like, I think she'd be good. But I just think that a lot of people would be thinking in their heads, looking at her on screen, going, "That's Harley Quinn,"
That's Harley Quinn. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'd still like to see her in the MCU.
Yeah.
I think she'd be a good asset for the MCU to have. It's just, I don't know. I think Sue would be a good role for her. I don't know. I suppose time will tell. The MCU, like, they very rarely miss when it comes to casting. So if they have a project for her, I'm sure they've got a vision for her, and we'll see what they see soon enough, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. And I would say that Adam Driver is a pretty damn good pick. He has great range. I've seen him in Marriage Story. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's a fantastic movie. Um, and like Scarlett Johansson's in that one as well. Like it just shows like the like I usually say, like it's like Johnny Depp. There's so much range with Adam Driver. Like he's got many different ways of expressing himself, which is pretty nice. Like, he can be menacing, he could be serious, he could be, silly, he could like be confused. And it really shows. So
Yeah,
to have him as Mr. Fantastic, it's an interesting cast. I don't think it's the perfect cast. I think it's good though. Um, and it'll be nice to see him on the big screen, because like he's a tall guy too, so like you can kind of make it to where the stretchiness of like the elongation, it kind of makes sense because he's already a tall kind of guy.
yeah,
So it
I know
just
what you
makes sense.
mean. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't actually seen. I was only thinking about this before we went live, but I haven't actually seen Adam Driver in a lot of things. Obviously, I've seen him in Star Wars, but I haven't
Mhm.
seen him in. I heard he was in that movie called 65, but I heard the movie was kind of bad. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I feel like he just took that role just to get money, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like the trailer was awful. Like it,
yeah.
it just didn't make sense whatsoever.
Didn't hear good things from that, and then as well, the Gucci movie. I saw the trailer for the Gucci movie, and I was like, holy shit, that looks great. Like, I was really hyped to see it, and then I heard it just flopped. So, I
It
don't know.
it
This is kind of how it goes, right?
was there any reason why it was saying like it people had said that it flopped? Because I thought it was okay. It wasn't just like, oh man, that was a trash fire. It was okay. It just didn't hit well enough. I think it was, I would say the dynamic between Lady Gaga and Adam Driver just didn't seem as strong as I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
And maybe they were just trying to be as like tiptoed around like the history behind it as possible so that they don't seem too offending.
yeah,
But I mean, like the other cast members, they were fantastic. Like they did a great job. Although I think the uncle, one of the uncles in the movie, like the later family members were like, that's a horrible portrayal of our uncle. Like we find that offensive.
yeah. Was that the dude who was played by Jared Leto? Did Jared Leto
Yeah.
fuck up again?
No, I
You
liked
thought he was
it.
good?
Like
Okay,
he was because they like in the movie they portrayed him as an idiot.
right.
And I think that's what upset the family was that they're like, he wasn't that big of like he wasn't an idiot. He
Yeah,
made mistakes. He had artistic view. He wasn't that bad, and so I think that's why they got offended.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, like that happens more than you'd think. Like, I know there was a lot of kind of controversy around Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Quentin Tarantino.
Hmm.
Apparently, like, the way he portrayed Bruce Lee to be like a dickhead in the movie, and his family were quite upset about that because they were like, he was the nicest guy ever. Like, and
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
what I heard too. Like I remember like looking up documentaries about him and like reading up on him, and like he was genuinely a nice guy. Like he was, but like I guess to maybe Quentin's eyes is that like he was off-putting due to the fact that they Bruce Lee is so confident in his abilities, especially in movies, like and his ability to train people. It's just it flows like water, like to him.
yeah, yeah,
Literally,
yeah,
it's easy for him. So because it's so easy, he's like, you will learn from me, like but it can I could see how it comes off as like cocky or
yeah,
overconfident.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like, man, I think Adam Driver's is pretty safe bet, just from
Oh yeah.
like I it's well known I didn't like the sequel trilogy in Star Wars, but I think Adam Driver was probably the best part of it. Um, if not one of the best parts of it. And like
Mhm.
I thought I loved how he just portrayed Kylo as being like just so angry all the time, and just the way like he's like snapping and like smashing up like consoles and stuff like that. Like, and just like
Right.
just get the rage that comes out of him. I thought it was like very entertaining, and like I just think obviously he's got a range there. Again, I haven't seen much of him, so I know he was in a movie I think where he plays like a cop or a detective or something like that, and it's set in like the deep south or something. I don't know what the movie's called. That one that you were talking about with Scarlett Johansson as well. To be honest, I saw trailers for that movie and stuff, and I was like, that seems a bit too heavy for me now. I don't even want to watch that. Like, it just looks
Oh,
like a
dude,
grim film, like.
it's pretty tragic. It has sad moments, but like it's just it's one of those moments where you see the reality of things setting in when you have a marriage. Like I think they just got in a little too like I'll
Yeah.
give you like an idea of what's going on in the movie. So like basically they got married, they were happily in love, and they have their kid, and then eventually it turns out that there are a lot of things that they didn't realize that they didn't like about each other. So it's possible that they got married a little too soon.
Mhm.
And so it's like this whole point of like, okay, well, our families like really like each other, so I mean we got to split up though. So like how do we do this? What's the process? And
Yeah.
it's actually really interesting because then like you see the family members, and the family's like, oh shit, like you know uh, we got to serve Adam Driver's character, but how do we do it? How do we do it eloquently so that he's not like pissed off and yelling or anything? So it's a very real situation because like having getting a divorce is just the worst feeling. But there are many people in this world who are happy to get a divorce because eventually they break free. They're like, okay, that wasn't the person that I was supposed to be with. And
Yeah.
like those two characters, like Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, do an amazing job of putting that together.
Mhm.
And so like that's why I say that Adam Driver should like be a pretty safe pick, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, and that we should be good on the Fantastic Four for him as Reed Richards. But now that I'm talking about this, I'm a little worried as to what direction they're going to go with for Reed, because he is a serious kind of character.
Yeah.
He does have some of his silly moments, but it's very few and far between.
Mm.
It's like Reed is a very like stern character, very
Yeah,
very smart, knows that there's dangers in the world and that we can't really do, like, we shouldn't really goof around, and that's why
yeah,
Johnny Storm is in there.
yeah. He's there for the comic relief, like, because Reed
Right,
just isn't usually that kind of character.
right.
He's very very serious. Like, and I think the first Fox movies kind of they made him a little kind of funny where he was doing like the funny shit with the stretchy powers and all. But
Oh
at
yeah.
the same time, he was, on his wedding day, he's working on a project, he's working on a mission, like, and I think that like he's just laser focused on saving the world, like, and I think it'll be interesting to see what the MCU or which way the MCU go with it. I hope they don't go too comedy wise with it, like, because
I agree.
yourself, like we've had this conversation 100 times, like, the MCU are quite a fan of, like, mimicking characters and just like putting comedy where it doesn't need to be. I think they hit like a real sweet spot with Thor around Infinity War, and then they kind of just fucked it up, like,
Right, they kept pushing the envelope, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
they
it's went too far.
right,
But
and then
Thor was perfect. He was
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
They had it perfect. He was funny. He was serious. He was a badass. Everything. But then they went too far as usual.
right.
Yo, Liam,
But
what's up?
Disney
Welcome to the
will
stream.
but Disney will cast Jim Carrey as Reed. I mean, to be completely honest, Jim Carrey could probably pass off as Reed Richards, but his acting skills would not work with it. Like, he's
Yeah.
too, like, okay, wait, never mind. Let me pull that back. Now that I think about it, Jim Carrey has range. I don't know if you ever seen him in Man on the Moon. I don't know if you ever seen him in, like, the Number 23. I know that was like a movie
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he wanted to personally do.
yeah.
And he even made like his own a company based on that. And well, like, I don't know. Like, I know you, like, for the most part, most people see Jim Carrey as the funny guy with like the
Jokes,
rubber
yeah.
face and jokes and whatnot. But like, man, if you've ever seen him on Man on the Moon or as like in the Number 23, like, the dude gets serious. He has those moments where it's just like, really, holy shit, this guy knows how
I
to
know
act.
I know he can do it, but I think Jim Carrey, the kind of the person, the personality, everything, like the character, like, the like the product, if you want to say, because like actors are
Right.
kind of products, like, but the product of Jim Carrey has gone too far now. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's kind of Robotnik and Sonic and stuff like that. Like, they're the roles that suit him, and they're actually the roles that he likes to do. Like, I
Yeah.
saw an interview with Jim Carrey recently, and he was asked about the Batman, because obviously he played Riddler like in the 90s, and it was like, he was asked, did he watch the new Batman movie, and what did he think of the portrayal of the Riddler in it? And like, he was like, nearly afraid to talk about it. Like, he was like, I was way too dark for me. It's not stuff that I like to even watch and all. And I think he has some mental issues himself. Like, so I think like watching something like that would be tough for him. So like he's very much, he wants to be doing like the PG kind of comedy stuff. Like, so I don't know, and maybe that's what the MCU kind of is now. So maybe the MCU would work for him. I don't know, but um, yeah, he definitely would. Like, I actually like think he could be in the MCU, and I think he would have been a good like MODOK, for example. Like, and I think that was a rumor out there that, if they were going to get
Oh
MODOK in, it
yeah.
would be Jim Carrey. Like, Jim Carrey be pretty fucking good as like MODOK.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and to be honest, like, I would have loved him as MODOK, like, like, also not in just a silly sense, but in the fact that, like, he could do the voice. He could totally make a cool voice out of it. You know. Yeah, and Disney would comedy the shit out of Reed, and like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, it just seems, it seems like it's going to be the blueprint for Disney until they realize, like, oh, people don't really like having too much comedy in a movie anymore. Like, let's dial it back. Let's bring it back to what it used to be, where things were serious at a time, and we're not really dealing with like happy-go-lucky shit anymore. Like, even when
yeah,
we did with Iron Man, like the very beginning, like, yeah, we had Robert Downey Jr. hanging out in the Jeep with like the soldiers and whatnot, and
yeah,
um it just, like, that moment was cool. Like, I was, oh yeah, cool, that's Tony Stark, yeah, that's fun. And then all of a sudden he gets hit with shrapnel, and then he gets taken to the cave, and then he has to build the suit and the core, and that stuff is serious because it's like, holy shit, like, our character almost died.
yeah.
Like,
I fucking
those
love
are,
that movie, man.
it's so good, it's still
Everything,
so good.
everything about the first Iron Man is just so good.
Yeah.
Love it. And
It's I don't know how often people feel about the the second movie. I know that most people hate the third movie, but I think the third movie is okay halfway through. But in terms of the second movie, I thought it was fine. I really like seeing like Hammer, like
yeah, yeah, he was
fucking
hilarious. Justin Hammer.
yeah,
Yeah,
Justin Hammer.
hilarious. Hilarious. Loved it.
So good. And Mickey Rourke, why not? Why not? Like it
To
was
be
just one of
honest,
those moments.
when the movie came out, I loved it. Just because it was the start of the MCU, and it was nice to see a sequel to a movie like from a movie that Iron Man 1 was, that just like it just started everything, and just getting to see Scarlett Johansson was amazing. Seeing like War Machine for the first time was great. Like it was fantastic. But now looking back, obviously we now realize kind of the quality of it compared to everything else. But I think
Right.
at the time it was fine. And like even like Thor 1 at the time was great, and Cap 1 was fucking great, and like it was slowly building to the first Avengers movie, which again at the time was mind blowing. To be honest, now looking back in 2023, I'm like, the first Avengers movie is good, but it's like I definitely see kind of it's kind of harder to rewatch, you know.
Right.
It's not as good as it was the first time. You know what I mean? Whereas, and
Right.
even like I don't know, like yeah, it's definitely good. It's up there, of course, but
I,
just for what it is and what it meant. But movie wise, it wasn't the best movie ever.
right. And I think the main thing about that is because we're tired of the comedy. I think we're at this point now where things can be serious now. Like you've I think in my head, the way I see it, when you do a movie, if you do an origin story or the start of someone's character, you can be silly. You can totally be silly, but you need to give us those moments where you want us to care about the character.
Yeah,
Um, and if you make it too silly, even during the serious moments, then I don't give a shit. I don't care at all about that character. And that's why She-Hulk fell so hard, because it was just those moments of like, okay, well, I cool, like so she has feelings. I want to care about that. But then they go to therapy, and then there's these characters that they had in the comics that were actually pretty badass when they were in there, but now they're just in therapy, which like really sets the tone as like, okay, this is not taking anything seriously. Like she's having
yeah,
a dilemma, and they're fucking it up. So like, and they're so focused on She-Hulk getting better, which granted, I get it. Like it's a new change. You're a new character and whatnot, but like you gotta give us something to give a shit about. Like I cared more when she was actually starting to get into the law firm, to represent other heroes or villains and whatnot.
yeah,
But once they dropped that for, oh, I need to be in a relationship, I was like, I'm out.
yeah,
It was over, because it had nothing to do with heroes. It had nothing to do with heroes and villains. Like, and that's the big thing for comics, dude. Like, you don't read a comic and go, man, oh man, I hope Iceman gets with Shadowcat, even
yeah,
though she's in love with Colossus, what, or like things like that. Like, we're not reading the comics to watch a relationship grow. We're reading comics to watch people bond as superheroes and get to know each other and understand their feelings, like in the internal, while they save people.
yeah. Like I think there's a time and a place for it. To be honest, like I don't
Yeah.
mind reading a bit about, like there's a kind of love story going on at the moment in Batman between him and Catwoman. Like, and it's great. I love it. Like
Yeah.
it's great. It's great to
Those are
read.
good.
Like, but I think like in the movies and stuff, there's a time and a place. And I think origin story wise, especially with the likes of She-Hulk and how that show started and how they they were going down a whole like independent woman route, and then it just like did a 180 and just
Yeah.
flipped into what it was. And yeah, it just it's like they didn't even know what they wanted themselves. Like
Right.
it was a really weird one. Andre,
Exactly.
welcome in, brother.
Hey, what's up, Andre? Yeah, dude, it's it's
Chilling.
it's one of it's one of those things where you have to understand. So when Iron Man started, Iron Man 1, it wasn't so much him caring about being in a relationship with Pepper. That didn't show up until, I would say, late second movie, and like half the first half of the third movie.
Yeah.
So like it gave you time to appreciate Iron Man. It gave you time to understand who he is before we expand it and get to know like what internally he needs to take care of. Because
Yeah.
like even in the second, like I would say even in the second movie, he fixed his arc reactor. He changed the element so that he could make sure he doesn't die from the poisoning, right? So
Yeah.
like that perspective showed that his father, who he thought hated him, loved him so much.
Yeah.
And that was the big picture. Is that like I think I'm like I feel like such a failure because I can't figure out how to fix myself, even though I'm trying to fix everything else.
Yeah.
You know, and so seeing that his father like showing that video, he's like, my greatest invention was you. And he's like, holy shit, I'm not like I'm not, I'm not nothing. I'm
Mm.
Iron Man. And that was huge. And so the
Yeah.
third, like, and then the third movie, it's like, okay, well, I'm too involved in Iron Man and I need to like learn how to dial it back because I want to be in a relationship with this woman because we've already spent 2 movies together. So like at that point, it's like, okay, we're okay with that because now Pepper's captured that like it shows that how much he loves this woman, how much he wants to be with this person, and by the end of it, he destroys all the rest of his Iron Man suits.
Mm-hmm.
But then that doesn't last long, right? Like, because eventually, I'm sure they work it out, and then he's like, okay, well, I got suits that I can build now that I
Yeah.
figured my shit out.
Yeah. Yeah, Andre brought up a point which I don't remember. I haven't seen Iron Man 2 in a long time, but I think doesn't Fury or Natasha, one of them, give him like an antidote which kind of helps him not die so quickly. But then yeah, he has to figure it out how to create the element himself, and figures
Yeah,
out that his dad actually did create the element back in the 60s, but didn't have the technology to actually pull the trigger on it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, because that whole diorama was
that's
the
the
work.
element. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He just didn't know,
So,
and he didn't have the technology to be able to do it.
right. So
Yeah,
yeah, and it was a suppressant from what I remember. Like they injected him in the neck, and he's like, could have warned me at first,
yeah,
and that was the driving point of what if you remember,
yeah,
because like it was like one of those moments like, oh, that was insane, like why would you do that, like but they're
yeah,
like, we're trying to help you, we're trying to suppress things. And
yeah.
so like it fit well for what if, but then that fell off. Like I don't want to go too far off tangent, but like that
That ship
whole
has sailed, my friend.
yeah,
you're,
yeah,
you're on a wild one here. I'm just
I
letting you.
know,
I'm
dude.
letting you go, bro.
I'm
Just go.
I'm
Keep
going
going. Keep
off.
going. Yeah, just go, bro. You just go. We've got nothing to talk about today. This is the time for shit like this. Like, we are deep in the marvelous chat right now.
Oh yeah. Well, like it's really interesting, like how they have all this technology, and I know that they've been working on things like for Shield at the time, and it was like really interesting. And then once they changed the sword, because they realized that everything internally was happening like via Hydra, like that was really insane.
Yeah.
And as I talk about this, and as I go forward, and it's like, holy shit, like all of Iron Man, although it's like Iron Man, it had some underlying Captain America things in there because it had to deal with Hydra in between, and
Yeah.
then Captain America, holy shit, all the underlying things in Captain America had to do also with Iron Man in the later years, but it also affected Hulk because of the fact that the super soldier serum was created,
Yeah.
and that they went with the direction to use a super soldier serum in addition to gamma radiation to create the Hulk rather than a bomb.
Yeah.
And so you see these chains, and you see these connections, and it's like, holy shit, everything makes sense. We're going forward. Thor's hammer hit Earth, and Shield found it. They kept it contained for a while, and then we saw in the first Thor movie that he went to go get it, and he couldn't. But then we see Clint, and it's like, cool. Like we got Hawkeye, so we got Hawkeye, we got Black Widow. Like holy shit, they really are working on like bringing the Avengers together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
it was a great time.
fucking mind blowing.
Yeah.
So like after Endgame, I feel like they're really trying to add more characters, but because we were so, I would say spoiled. I would say like we were so spoiled on the fact that everything was connected,
Mhm.
that now everything still has to connect. We need a reason for these characters to even, congregate or have some sort of uh, like meeting with one another. Like when you saw Daredevil and Punisher, it's like, yeah, those are ground heroes. Those are characters that like will eventually meet because they have opposing views. You know, Punisher wants to take out everyone possible and kill them so that they never do it again. Whereas Daredevil's like, no, like we bring justice to them. Like it's my city. Like we have to handle it the way that we need to handle it properly as heroes. We can't be looked upon as vigilantes. And it just like they're always going to butt heads no matter what, which is great because like when we get to the next season of Daredevil, like on Disney Plus, I'm really hoping that we still get that kind of like spiel between them. It doesn't turn into like, yeah, I'm not going to kill anybody. No, but like and I remember you were saying too, like in the past with John Bernthal, like he was saying that he's not going to be a part of the team if Punisher can't be Punisher.
Yeah, that gives me a lot of hope because he has signed on. It is official. He is returning as the Punisher. So that kind of tells me that they have, given him the reign to do what he needs to do, which is fantastic. Because if they did a Disneyfied version of Punisher now using the same actor, I'd just be like, oh, this is just, it feels so wrong. It feels like such a waste.
Right.
Now I've heard as well that, Vincent D'Onofrio has said that the show will feel different to the Netflix show. But then I've heard other reports saying that, like, this is basically Daredevil season 4. Like, it's just continuing on. It's going to solidify the Netflix show as canon. So I'm kind of like, which way is it going here, guys? Like, I'm hearing shit from both ends here. Like, is it going to be different or is it going to be the same? Like, what's going on? Is it season 4 or is it reboot season 1? Like, so I suppose we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like, but we've got 18 episodes. We've got John Bernthal back. We got Charlie Cox. Like, Vincent D'Onofrio. I can't see it being bad. And I think, from what I've heard about like rumors and stuff with that kind of whole storyline, like Fisk is going to be running for like the mayor of New York, and that's going to link in with like Captain America 4 and Spider-Man 4 and all this shit. Like, so it's going to get wild, man. Like, it's going to be on the street level. It's going to be insane. And I think the street level is going to be where I'm going to have the most fun in the MCU going forward for the next couple of years. I'm not really liking where the whole space stuff is going now. Like I thought, if you remember back to when, like, say Infinity War came out, and like the first time in the trailer where you saw like Thor interacting with like the Guardians or something, and it was just like mind blowing. You're like, oh my god, they're meeting, like it's crazy. And then you see Tony Stark standing beside Star-Lord, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, like it was great. But now I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I just want it to go back to Earth. I just want it to be in New York City. I want it to be just Daredevil and Spider-Man hanging out, like, So yeah, I'm kind of over the space stuff right now. Not that I won't watch the projects, but I just think it feels a bit burned out or something to me.
Right. I honestly, I don't think it's burned out. I think it's just too focused on one team.
Right.
There's plenty of other characters that you can work with. And that's the problem, is that they're picking all these characters that are like, oh man, these are super popular characters. Like, they're so popular. Let's throw them on the big screen. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a run. But then, they forget to add other characters that like pertain to the show, as like to the comics as well, like things that matter to these characters. And so like you don't build anything around them. You just shove them in there and go like, go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah.
And I would say, in terms of that, like the closest thing that did well enough was Moon Knight, because Moon Knight was off doing his own thing, learning about himself, and then discovering that like he's a character with multiple personalities. But it works because he's got multiple personalities, so he's able to talk to himself. So he has things that he relates to for himself, and he's still like, he has his wife or ex-wife. I don't remember if they said they're still married or not, but like that's pretty cool. Like, you have the Scarlet Scarab, you have all this stuff going on. So like it's building the character pretty well.
Yeah.
In She-Hulk, we had so much opportunity to build character. I remember you and I were talking like, oh man, we got Wong, we got Abomination. Like, what other characters are they going to have like connected with that? And it's like, how awesome would it have been if it was like some weird ass court situation with Spider-Man? Like people still accuse Spider-Man of killing someone. Like, yeah,
I'd love
it.
Like,
and they had the courtroom. Like that could have been a whole movie. Like, they had the courtroom scene with Jennifer, and it might have been a bit slow, but like at least have things in the middle to like have them combat, have Spider-Man talk to Jennifer and and be like, look, I didn't do this. Like, I promise you, like this is something that I wouldn't do. Like, uh, it was all an illusion. And then it's like, well, we don't have, like, we have evidence that shows that you kind of did do it from the perspective of that video and whatnot. Like, there's so many ways to make it so that, like, you have characters working together and establishing a connection so that when you actually put them on the big screen, it makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, when you actually make them like the new Avengers, it's gonna make sense.
Yeah.
And oh man,
Do you
you got
have?
Liam. Oop,
Sorry, I was going to say, do you have any little juicy rumors you want to talk about?
juicy rumors. Nothing in particular. I was looking through some updates. So there's one where there's a Secret Invasion spinoff already in the works. It's going to be a spinoff starring Emilia Clarke as Gaia in development. So they're already like working towards putting Emilia Clarke at the helm
Yeah,
of a new show that's a
of course.
spinoff of a
Yeah.
show that we haven't even had release yet.
That gives me hope that it's good. You know, like test screenings and stuff must be going well for it if they are talking about spinning off characters already. Like she's such a big actress as well. Like I think that if she kind of gains a third of the popularity that she had as Khaleesi in Game of Thrones, like I'd say the MCU will try and like sign her on and bank as much content out of her as possible. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I think it's rarely bad news when you hear of stuff like that happening in the background already before shows even aired.
Mhm.
Although, sometimes maybe they get it wrong. I don't know. Like, Andor was approved for season 2 before season 1 even aired, and a lot of people liked it, but a lot of people didn't. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see.
Right.
One thing I did see was My Time to Shine. Hello, she posted about Aubrey Plaza getting casted in the MCU. She's going to be in Coven of Chaos, and apparently the character that she's playing is going to be stronger than the Scarlet Witch. So do you think she's going to be playing like Mephisto or Death or something crazy?
No, I believe they had already named her character. I can't remember for sure, but I know who you're talking about. It just doesn't seem to fit well if she's going to be stronger than Scarlet Witch. Like, I get it. That'd be cool to have people that are stronger than Scarlet Witch, but Aubrey Plaza, I to be completely honest, like, I'm not a huge fan of Aubrey Plaza. I think she's a very one-sided actress.
Hmm.
Um, she When she was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that's kind of where I first saw her. You know,
Yeah,
she had this angry look. She was giving Scott coffee and was swearing like a sailor. And cool, that's fun. That was funny. Very like stern face and whatnot. Then I see her in I was going to say Community, Parks and Rec.
yeah,
Um, Same kind of character, just a little less like swearing
yeah,
and just kind of being there just to be there. She has like it works well because like that character needed to be there in terms of like the different types of personalities within Pawnee. But like in terms of Aubrey Plaza, I'm not looking at her and being like, oh my god, it's Aubrey Plaza. Like, I see
yeah,
Andy Dwyer, Chris Pratt, and I'm like, that motherfucker is funny.
yeah,
I love seeing Andy Dwyer. I love seeing Jerry when he pops in, like Aziz Ansari as Tom, like that, like all those characters, they all have like different modes of range and whatnot. And I barely saw anything that told me that Aubrey Plaza's character is like, plausible.
Did you watch Legion?
Legion?
Yeah,
No, I did not. Is she in
that's
there?
yeah, it's an X-Men show. I can't remember who made it, but it went on for like 3 seasons, and it's loosely based on like Xavier's son and all this mad shit. Like, but she's like one of the main characters in it, and I think it's probably that got her the role. I would say because it
Mhm.
looks like it's a very kind of similar role that she's going to be doing. But um, yeah, I think again, it remains to be seen, but I don't think it's good to have a hero, somebody. Well, I suppose is Scarlet Witch isn't really a hero right now, but you always have to have people that are more powerful than them, like to come in and challenge them. Like otherwise, it's just boring. You know what I mean? If she just could snap everybody out of reality, like it's just kind of like, well, what are we watching for? Like, you know what I mean? There has to be conflict. There has to be, stakes and something to fight for. So I just think I saw Kevin Feige mention that, Scarlet Witch is the most powerful thing in the MCU right now. And it's like, and I think that kind of made sense as to why they were kind of maybe turning her evil, just to, give the heroes a good challenge. Whereas now it's kind of like, where does it go from here? Like, if we're going to follow a project that's following Scarlet Witch, she's going to have a big bad to go up against. Or again, maybe she is the big bad again, but I don't know. But I think they'll try and reverse her back to a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people, I loved Multiverse of Madness and I loved the whole evil turn for her. But I think a lot of people were kind of like, what the fuck? Wanda's evil now? Like, what the hell's happening? Like, I think it took a lot of people by surprise, and I don't think that they liked it. I think that's why a lot of people claim that they don't like this film, because they hated the turn that she gave. But I thought it was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it was done really well. And to be completely honest, like I understand why people would be kind of put off at the fact that Scarlet Witch was a villain in a movie, due
Yeah,
to the fact that like every single X-Men movie, like X-Men series where they did Days of Future Past, and like they did Dark Phoenix, and then in the original like trilogy they had The Last Stand, or is it United We Stand or The Last Stand? I can't remember. But like that was also Dark Phoenix, and so I think that for the most part, some of these writers, some of these story writers don't know how to make the most powerful character relatable.
yeah,
And they don't know how to make the most powerful character not kill everyone and reset everything. Like
yeah.
but it's so easy. All it is that you just have her be unstable, things go awry, she snaps, she like everything changes, she utters the words, no more mutants and whatnot. Like that's what we were hoping for, right? Like we were just kind of thinking that it was going to turn into that situation.
Yeah,
It's like it's so easy to just have them be unstable and then fuck shit up and then give us a reason to go into another movie or a series or things that go awry.
yeah,
You know, but to kill them like they did in in the first X-Men trilogy, and to like do her, like they did it dirty in the second trilogy as well with like James McAvoy and whatnot. Like
they can't get
it's
Phoenix right. They
they
can't.
can't, because
Yeah,
you know why? Because they don't do shit with her. They
yeah,
wait till the last minute. They're like, oh shit, we forgot that we had a super powerful character who has the Phoenix Force. You know what you could do is not give her the Phoenix Force.
yeah,
Just wait for it to show up later.
yeah.
Give someone else the Phoenix Force. There are other people that had the Phoenix Force in the past.
Mhm.
Like, stop giving it to one person. Yes, everybody loves that Jean Grey becomes Phoenix at one point. Yes, it's really cool. But maybe just make her Phoenix and not Dark Phoenix. Then like just stop.
Yeah.
Like you,
I still laugh about it to this day, that because I actually didn't really mind X3, the original X3. I thought it was okay.
I
Like at the
fucking hated
time,
it.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't. I didn't think it deserved all the hate that it got, but they definitely didn't do it right. But then I love how they actually tried to do it again and then fucked it up even worse. Yeah. It's like, how,
Dude,
Fox? How could you fuck it up twice and then the second time fuck it up even worse?
right.
It was wild to me.
Fubar 2.0, man. Like it's
Yeah,
fucking ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
like what were they like? They had something. They had, they had First Class, and First Class did pretty well.
yeah.
They
I
had
loved
Days
it.
of Future Class, or Days of Future Past,
Yeah,
and that did amazing.
Days of Future Past is one of my favorite comic book movies. I fucking love that film. Love it. I
Yeah,
thought it was so clever how they brought the OG cast and the new cast together. I thought it was just so well done.
yeah.
Just revolve it around Logan, who would be alive in both timelines. I just thought it brilliant, absolutely brilliant,
Right.
very fucking clever.
And then they do Apocalypse, and it's not the worst, but it did hit kind of weird. Like I know people didn't really like it.
I didn't like it. The only parts of Apocalypse that I liked were Magneto's parts at the start, where like his daughter died, and when he's going to hunting down Nazis and shit. That was fucking epic.
It's the most amazing
Epic.
part in the movie.
Yeah,
Because like
the rest
he's
of them
trying
like,
to, yeah, he's trying to live on his own, and that's what I'm talking about. Like he's trying to live a normal life because he's tired of what he's become and what he's done in his past.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You don't
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
at the beginning. You start at like the middle or the end of like their lifespan of where they're like, I'm done. I'm tired. Not at the beginning with She-Hulk when it's like, oh, now I need a relationship, even though I said I was an independent woman.
Yeah.
Like it like that's how you do it. That's how you drive these characters. That's how you love them because you feel for them. Because it's like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to bring this comment up on screen here that Chillin put in. Just talking about, I actually really like this idea. If there would be like multiple versions of Mephisto, because we have heard that like Sacha Baron Cohen's coming in, and rumor is that he's going to be Mephisto, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was as well. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Well, like
Um,
it does sound interesting, but I don't think they're going to go in that direction because that seems a little too crazy.
yeah, maybe, but I think
It's cool.
they've
It's
kind
a
of got
cool
nothing to
idea.
lose right now.
Right. So
Yeah,
I actually did manage to find her like her casting.
yeah,
In terms of
go
her
on.
casting, she's going to play Morgan Le Fay. She's
Okay,
going to be the leader of a coven of witches, where Sashir Zamata and Ali Han will play two witches who are part of her coven.
okay,
So like like it's called Coven of Chaos.
of
You
course.
have to start with the coven first. So like if she's possessed by Mephisto, if I'm not too fluent on Mephisto yet, I need to kind of research him a bit more.
Yeah,
If she can be possessed by Mephisto, that
yeah,
would make things cooler because then like, he could pop up out of nowhere and then it's Sacha Baron Cohen.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
that I find oddly plausible.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just what kind of before we kind of move off the X-Men here, just this comment as well, just speaking about First Class here. So I can't think of the guy's name who played Beast in the original. I know he's an English actor, the
Oh,
tall
Nicholas
guy.
Holt.
Yes, Nicholas Hoult. Yeah, yeah. Couldn't think of his name for some reason. Loved him in like Skins and stuff. Like it was a big show in the UK when I was growing up. But yeah, I could see him. I think like he's definitely got a lot of range as an actor. I could potentially see him playing Lex. And to be honest, after Jesse Ellenberger, like anything's a fucking upgrade, bro. I hated that version of Lex so fucking much. That you know what I mean. Like I'd fucking take Michael Rosenbaum back as Lex. You know what I mean? I love Rosie,
Mhm.
but it would be weird if he came back. But I know he's such good friends with James Gunn that it wouldn't surprise me if he came back. But like, I'd take Rosie coming back over fucking Ellenberger any day of the week, like any day of the
Right.
week.
Wait, Ellenberger. Like, are you? So you're not
Je-
saying Jesse Eisenberg, right?
Jesse, whatever his name is, the dude who played him in like the Snyderverse and all. What's his name? Jesse
Jesse Eisenberg.
Ellenberger, or whatever his name is. I don't know. I don't even know his name.
Okay, because I was like, wait, who is this guy? Because I was thinking
Sorry,
like, are you talking about
sorry. I
some
got
dude?
his. No,
Because I know you.
I got his name wrong. Never
Well,
mind.
I know there's a dude in Smallville, right? I don't know, but I don't know the actor's name.
The guy from Smallville is Michael Rosenbaum.
Gotcha.
He's
Okay.
he was the original Lex in Smallville for the whole run, like pretty much. And he was in Guardians, like he's the dude with like the diamond face, but he's a good friend of James Gunn's in real life. So,
Hmm.
you know, if he kind of turned back around and was like, I'll do Lex again for you, like I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did, like if Gunn actually did pull the trigger on that.
Yeah. Chillin said Bradley Cooper turned down Lex Luthor. Good. I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that. That I don't think I could see Bradley Cooper ever playing Lex. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Like you could probably shave his head and show me a picture of him, show me like his other like points of range, but like as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned, I wouldn't trust Bradley Cooper with the helm.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think where would I like to see Bradley Cooper land in DC now. Because I think he had said it on a red carpet that he was like, I love working with James Gunn. I'd follow him anywhere. So I think that's kind of it's to be presumed that he's going to DC next. So who would he play?
Hal Jordan.
Yeah, that could
Hal
work.
Jordan.
That could be cool.
Like enough said, Hal Jordan. Like
Yeah,
I would love to
because
see like
Bradley
Bradley
Cooper's like
Cooper.
he's a cool motherfucker. You can
Yep.
picture him with the leather jacket on, being like a fucking uh, you know, like a Tom
Like a
Cruise
cocky
looking
bastard,
motherfucker.
you
Like,
know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 flying his jets and shit. Yeah, yeah, I like it. I could see it.
But
Clip it out, guys. We'll make the prediction now. Timestamp it. Boom. Let's go.
but you know what's really interesting though, Finto, in terms of Lex Luthor, in terms of, Green Lantern, I don't know if you would follow the comics beforehand, or if you had watched like movies with Hal Jordan before, or you've seen like movies with Lex. Like, I'm sure you've seen the Christopher Reeve movies with Superman where you got to see Lex and he was a white man.
Hmm.
I grew up during the time where it was Lex Luthor as a dark-skinned man, a
Yeah.
dark-skinned bald man. I grew up at the point where I wasn't reading comics yet, but I grew up with John Stewart.
Yeah.
So, in my eyes, I'm thinking like, well, if the demographic or the groupings that we have that grew up with the animated series saw those two types of people, Lex Luthor and John Stewart, then why not just cast them that way?
Mm.
Why not just do that? If you can find me like an original comic Lex Luthor and have him do well, that's great. But like, how cool would it be to just, get a black actor and have them be Lex and just like let them go with it? Because I think that would fit really well, considering that like most people are like, oh man, I remember when I watched the show, like the Superman show,
Yeah.
and dealing with Lex
I
and
like I like Mark Strong as Lex. I think Mark
Mark
Strong would be a cool.
Strong.
He'd be a cool Lex. He was in like the Kingsman movies, and he played
Oh
Sinestro in
yeah,
the Green Lantern movie.
yeah,
He was a
okay,
fucking badass Sinestro as well. I loved him as Sinestro, but I don't think he'd go back to that role. But
yeah,
I think he'd be a fucking pretty cool Lex Luthor. I think.
yeah. No, I agree with that.
Or my number one pick, Bryan Cranston, Walter White.
Brian, ooh,
Could you
dude, Brian,
imagine, dude?
dude,
That would
Brian
be
Cranston,
fucking nuts.
it would be
Brian,
perfect. Like,
yeah, Bryan Cranston would
because
be the best.
he has the brooding, he has like the stature, he has like the charisma for it too. Because Lex isn't just a man who is obsessed with Superman. He is a man who also runs a corporation. He runs LexCorp, and like it just would be so sick to see that, like to
Yeah,
see that whole spiel, everything like culminate like as a thing where Lex is like building up that point of trying to get people to hate Superman.
yeah. I was actually I was about to say this as well. I was actually going to say this. I was going to bring it up that if you wanted to get like a black person to play him, Giancarlo,
Yeah,
he'd be
Giancarlo
fucking
gets.
great. He'd be
Yeah, he'd be
great.
fantastic.
Yeah, he'd be
But
great. And Jesus, this one as well. Whew.
oh, Idris Elba. Ooh, Idris Elba,
Problem
man.
problem is that like he's already in DC and
Yeah,
he's in James Gunn's DC, which probably will kind of transfer over. So I suppose he's kind of taken already.
yeah.
So that'd be a bit weird, I think. But if he hadn't had that role in Suicide Squad, I would have said yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, it just, oh man, just the fact that like I love Idris Elba's voice,
Yeah.
and how strong it feels whenever he's like being serious about things.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
can you imagine him like just shouting within his tower in LexCorp, just being like, we have to get Superman,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we
Oh,
have to take him down.
it'd be badass, bro. He's such a talented actor. Like I for years thought that he was American. Didn't even know he was English.
Right, like I
And
saw stuff about that.
yeah, like Stringer when he played Stringer Bell in The Wire, like I thought he was an American, like I thought he was from California, and then I heard him speak with an English accent. I was like, oh my god, his English accent is perfect, and then I found out he was English. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen stories where he was saying that he had to make like I think like a Brooklyn accent
mm,
and try not to sound British, and like eventually they started listening in on like how he was talking. They're like, something's weird about this guy. They approached him and he's like, yeah, actually I'm British, I like that's my native language, or like
yeah,
my native accent.
yeah,
And they're like, we like it, like we like you. And
yeah,
so it's just funny because like it's back in the past where it's like you had to kind of mask yourself
yeah, yeah.
and be somebody else just so that you can get a role.
So much of Hollywood though now is like British. It's crazy. Like
It really is.
there's actors coming out now. Like there's actors out there now, and what's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson is a prime example. I thought he was American as well. And when I watched that Bullet Train film, and I heard him speaking with the English accent. I was like, that is the most perfect English accent ever. And then I had to Google it, and then I realized, oh my God, he's English. And I was like, it's happened to me again. It's Idris Elba all over again. I genuinely
Exactly.
thought the dude was American. Like, it's fucking insane. There's
Um,
so many English actors taking over, though. It's crazy. Like, they're all over superhero shit everywhere.
right.
Like, even like Will Porter, I thought he was American too, till I heard his actual accent, and I was like, oh my God, he's English as well.
Will Porter.
The dude who
Yeah.
played Adam Warlock. He's English as well.
Oh, right. Yeah. No,
I was just
I
like,
always I not to not to sound like I'm being prejudiced, but like I saw his face and I'm like,
English.
he kind of looks English to me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Will Poulter, yeah. Um,
um, what was the actor who played Lemon? He also played Fastos.
can't think of his real name. I love that
I
guy
know.
though.
He's
He's from
fucking
Eternals and shit,
great.
right?
Yeah,
He's in Atlanta and all. He's so good in Atlanta.
so fucking good. Like Brian Tyree Henry, like that
Yeah,
dude. I believe he's American from what I
yeah.
remember. And he didn't do
His English accent wasn't great though. I knew he was putting it on,
yeah.
whereas I was confused by Aaron Taylor Johnson in that film because I was like, this is too good. It's too perfect. You know?
I mean, you could have fooled me.
No. He couldn't have filled me because again, I know the English accent very well, obviously
Right.
being so close. But no, I was like, Aaron Taylor's is too good. I was like, there's something going on here, and I had to do some research. And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah, okay, he's English.
But can you? But like, real quick, can you like take that in and understand that dude was kick ass?
Oh yeah, I know.
Like,
That's where I
I
first knew him
forgot.
from. Yeah,
I
I
totally
first knew him from
forgot.
Kick-Ass, and I thought
I
he was
saw
American because he just sounds like an American kid in that film. It's wild. It's wild to me.
like amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like honestly, like I see the talent that these people have, and I always kind of think that in Ireland anyway. Like I know there's some really big Irish actors, but there's not a lot of Irish actors. Like acting isn't really a big thing over here. Like it wasn't something that was even available to me in school where I could have done drama or whatever. Like it just wasn't even a possibility in school for me. Like, and I've always loved movies. I've always loved like TV and cinema and all this stuff like it. And I think if it was something that was available to me, I would have liked to think that I would have tried to do something with it.
Mhm.
But like even like there's a lot of these like big Irish actors like you'll find they move to London or they go somewhere else in the world, and that's where they kind of get their big breaks. They don't usually get a big break from Ireland directly, like um but yeah, like it's just it's wild at the amount of like Irish and English that have gone over to the States and just done incredible shit. Like it's insane to
Yeah.
me.
Well, I guess the only Irish actor that I ever knew about was Colin Farrell, right? Like I were there any others that have started to like show up that you can tell
Uh
me about?
Liam Neeson, Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
Liam
Liam
Neeson
Neeson.
is like a big one. Now recently, Barry Keoghan is like a big actor. Like he was in the Eternals and he was the Joker and all that sort of stuff. There's like Brendan Gleeson's a big one. And like he was in fucking Star Trek and all. And who else? What's his name? Oh my God, your man who was in Step Brothers with Will Ferrell. I can't think of his name right now.
Like John, like you're not talking John C. Riley, right?
John C. Riley, yeah, he's Irish, isn't he? Or is he?
Really?
Yeah, I believe he is. Or he's
Huh.
definitely of Irish descent anyway. Maybe he's like an American Irish, but I could have sworn he was like Irish.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, yeah. But I probably just can't even think of them. And like Saoirse Ronan, like there's loads of like female like Irish actresses kind of popping up as well.
Yeah. Well, damn.
There you go.
Like it's nice to see that they're up and coming though, man. Like I love the passion that I hear from you when you talk about this stuff.
Yeah, like I definitely find I'm following Barry Keoghan's career like pretty close, just because I know like the shit that he went through as a kid. Like he's from like the Dublin city center, like in like he lived in like flats and shit. Like and he went through like 13 foster homes growing up and stuff. And it's just amazing to see this kid who didn't have a pot to piss in, like no fucking chance in the world, and now he's like on top of the world. He's in Marvel, he's in DC, he was in Dunkirk and all this stuff. Like, and you're just like, oh my god, this kid grew up like 15 minutes away from me. Like, it's just wild to see. Like, so I love it. I love following shit like that. Like, and when I saw him popping up in the MCU, I was just like, it's actually insane to be that there's a dude who lives so close to me, like in the fucking MCU, and he sounds like me as well. Like, I was like, he didn't even try and put on an accent. Like, he was like rocking around with his Dublin accent in that film, which was just so good. I loved it. So funny.
Oh man, dude, that's great to hear, man.
Yeah, Liam talking here in the chat just as well, just about like theater and stuff. Like, it's so big over there. Like, obviously, and it's the proofs in the pudding. Like, nearly every actor I can think of right now, like in like not so much Hollywood, but like definitely in like DC and Marvel and all, they're all English, like all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually insane. It's a takeover. Like, it's wild.
There's
Really wild.
yeah, because there's very few. Like, I'm like, I not to downplay American actors, but like there's very few American actors who can really like put on a great show that I would love to watch like extensively.
Yeah.
I mean, those few are probably like, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Bradley Cooper. But it, like, in terms of English actors, like, you guys are just like on fire. Like, it's been nothing but gas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
even if you just think about the MCU, like, you've got like some of the biggest hitters in the MCU right now aren't American. Like, they're you've got Tom Holland, Tom Hiddleston, fucking Tom Hardy. You've got all the Toms,
the three Toms,
all the Toms. You've got like Benedict Cumberbatch. You got Chris Hemsworth, obviously, who's Australian, but again, like, it's just like dudes from all over the world, just like taking over the MCU right now. It's insane.
And he does a great great accent for his Asgardian.
Yeah, like it's
like,
yeah, it's good.
It's
kind of sounds
very
like
royal.
I think he kind of just sounds like himself now. I don't know if it's just he's kind of rolled with it for so long now that I find I hear Thor when I'm just listening to Chris Hemsworth talking now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know he kind of doesn't. He doesn't like he kind of like does it a bit more serious and a little more uplifted or whatever. But I think he kind of just still sounds like himself.
Oh yeah, but I really think it's cool how they wanted to take something from the comics and bring it to life. And that was one thing that they wanted to, like, they really brought to life, was the fact that Thor speaks very much in like this old the old ways of like, how about the heathen?
It would make sense. He's like 1,500 years old, like,
Right.
and dropping in and out of Earth from now and again, and just, potentially spending time on Earth and seeing how the old English language and all that sort of stuff, like, it would make sense that that's how we would talk, like,
Right.
Absolutely.
So
I actually can't believe we're almost at an hour already. I didn't think this. I thought this was going to be like 35 minutes. We'd be like, see you later, guys. I just want to, for anybody that's listening to us live right now, I just want to actually just put it out there. If you want, throw something into the chat. If you want us, like, I try and integrate with interact with the chat as much as possible. But when we have a topic to talk about, we kind of go off on our own thing. Like, today's kind of free for all. So if you've got any rumors or anything like that, just throw them into the chat now. Or if you're listening to this on a replay, pop them in the comments below, and we'll chat about it offline. Like, I have no problem sitting in the comments talking to people for fucking days. Like, it doesn't bother me. So yeah, let us know if there's anything that you want to talk about. Bring it up now. Let's get it going.
Oh yeah. Well, while we're waiting, so I looked up on Midnight Suns. I know that's still a thing that's on our minds. It's
talking about
rumor
a game, or the game, or are you talking about like an actual live action project?
The live action project.
Oh yeah.
So the project dedicated to Midnight Suns is rumored to be part of the Phase 6.
Okay, that makes sense.
So in terms of that, like, we have Iron Fist, we have Blade, we have Doctor Strange, we have probably going to get like Scarlet Spider maybe in the future. We have Man-Thing, Moon Knight. We have like plenty of people that we can just roll with. Like, hopefully they can get Ghost Rider in at some point. Like, those are all people who have dealt with a lot of like supernatural things. I know Daredevil has dealt with the hand, but that's like very, very little. on mysticism or like supernatural, so I highly doubt that they're going to put him in it. But like I think for the most part, anybody who's dealt with like supernatural, such as vampires, werewolves,
Yeah.
demons, the occult, those are the people that are going to be cast. And it like if you were to throw someone like Daredevil or Punisher in, it would kind of like throw it off. Although it might be like I know that we're trying not to go way too hard into the silliness, but it might be funny because then they'll be like, "What the hell was that?" you
Bro,
know?
I would love to see like John Bernthal's Punisher and Mahershala Ali's Blade like together, standing beside each other, taking out swarms of like vampires. Like that would just
Oh yeah,
be
like
mind blowing to me.
he gets him like in a similar fashion to John Constantine. Like he gets him like silver bullets and stuff. He's like, "Here, you got to use this," and like
Yeah.
just
Aim
him
for the
going crazy.
head.
Yeah, like he just
Yeah.
goes fucking nuts. Like that's what I would accept from that. But in terms of those characters, it's kind of hard to see them working together.
I,
Um,
I I could see it. I could definitely see it. I think like if the MCU do decide to like turn around and start actually connecting projects again, please do. Disney, what the fuck are you at? Like, please connect stuff. Like, this is what we came for, you know. It's like if they started connecting stuff, like so if you started seeing like Blade and Dark Knight, and then Moon Knight comes in, and then we get Doctor Strange in the mix, and then he introduces Spider-Man, who introduces Daredevil. Like, there's
yeah,
so many combinations that you could get going, and then that turns into a Midnight Suns team, and then they just go vampire hunting. Like, could you imagine?
yeah.
Like, could you imagine like Daredevil, Punisher, Blade, like all of them just using like swords and like chopping people's heads off and stuff? And I would presume that they would have to probably go down like the kind of Buffy route of it, like where like they turn to dust when you take their heads off or something, rather than just blood going everywhere. I don't. I
Man, but that was
what
the
do you,
coolest part
I
though,
know,
dude.
I
Like
know, I know. I want the blood, obviously, but I think that maybe they won't. Drop the fake Dubliner accent. Andre, how dare you,
um,
bro? I'll put that in. I'll put that up there. How dare you? Oh shit, it's the wrong one. Whoops.
oh.
Yeah. How dare you, sir? How dare you? No, I don't know. I actually was born in America, for anyone who doesn't know, but I am from Dublin. I've lived most of my life in Dublin, so but I do
Yeah,
hold passports for both countries. Midnight Suns would
nice.
be so fucking epic, dude. If they could do it right, now they would need to do it right. But I really think like phase 6, they need to go back to the street level. They need to introduce some darker elements because, you're 6 phases into an MCU. All these kids that, were 10 years old at the start of Iron Man back in 2008. I mean, they're in their 20s now. It's like
Hmm.
we need some more adult content to keep these fans who are coming up. And then for people who are not into that stuff or they're too young for that stuff, let them just continue to watch the main movies. Let them watch Spider-Man, let them watch Thor fucking 6 or whatever the fuck is coming out. Like, there's going to be movies to tailor everybody, but they need to put a big focus on the 18s and over shit, like, the rated R stuff
Yeah.
for, Deadpool, all these people. We haven't even talked about Deadpool. Like Deadpool would just fit perfectly into this whole mix. Like
Oh yeah,
imagine
and
him coming into the MCU and just like, whoa, there's fucking vampires in this universe or something, like, and then him just having the
that,
crack going around killing people, like killing vampires and stuff. That
yeah,
would
that's
just
something I
be
would
it'd be
love.
perfect way, like perfect.
Yeah, of course. And but that was the whole point of Moon Knight. That was the whole point of
Yeah,
having Moon Knight introduced, so that we
yeah.
have a reason to be bloody and like gory and stuff. Because Moon Knight kills. He's not like literally when we read the comics for the 2021 version of Moon Knight, like when he was like doing the Midnight Mission, we got to learn a little bit about his past. Like we saw him, he like goes through he like jumps through the window and he's like, "You think I'm gonna capture you and just like take you to justice like Spider-Man? I'll tell you something. I'm not Spider-Man. You're gonna fucking die." Like, and that's what I love because it's like I like I'm all for the justice seeking heroes, but when you've got the vigilante styles like Punisher, Moon Knight, Blade, you like there's a couple like Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider's kind of a vigilante as well because he kills people with his penance stairs.
Hmm.
So like
Yeah,
they're like Marvel doesn't shy away from killing.
yeah.
It's just Disney doesn't want to kill, which is kind of weird.
How do they do in the MCU? How do they do Ghost Rider going forward if the dark holes have been destroyed in all universes?
I mean, he like they, from what I remember, look, like he was given his powers.
From
Let's
the
say we go
Darkhold,
the
right?
from the
Darkhold,
Darkhold. Well,
Darkhold gave
it
him his powers, right?
well, if we were to go in the route of, let's say, the Nicolas Cage route, he was given the powers from the devil,
Mm.
and we could do it as such, just to kind of like base it off of that. I don't think we should pour everything into the Darkhold because I think they're trying to do a different version of that.
Yeah. So
So
do you remember Agents of Shield? So a lot of people will
yeah.
say Agents of Shield isn't canon, but it is canon. I'm sorry to anybody who thinks it's not. It is canon because it was linked to the MCU. Now they kind of went their own way with it, but they did have a Ghost Rider in that film, and he had the Darkhold.
Mm.
So I don't know. Now I do remember hearing Doctor Strange talking in the third movie about how he memorized some of the spells from the Darkhold. So maybe Strange will rewrite the Darkhold or something like that. Perhaps, I don't know. Again, just theorizing. But like, he has a photographic memory. He's read the Darkhold. Maybe he could like scribe it back into existence or something.
Mm-hmm. So we have Chillin. He was saying that Mephisto had Mephisto give Ghost Rider his powers. That's actually what happened in the comics. Because like I don't recall, like in my head I was like I don't recall him getting powers from the Darkhold. I know, like that's why I was trying to base it off of the movie where he was getting his powers from like a demon, like the devil. But I looked it up. Sorry, I hit my screen. Um,
He's
I
so
like
into it.
punched
He's
it
punching his
so
screen.
into it.
Yeah.
So after his father's death, Johnny discovered that Mephisto had tricked him and that his soul was indeed bound to the demon Zarathos. To maintain control over Zarathos, Mephisto imbued Johnny with supernatural powers, including the ability to transform into the Ghost Rider. So there's your anchor,
Yeah.
there's your start, there's your foundation for Mephisto, because they're working towards it. They're like they know that we want it. So like there you go. Like we can't just have one major villain go, yeah, I'm the end all be all, and so everything else is kind of like moot, or
Mhm.
everything else happens because of me. No, like other things have happened. Like if we were to have Fantastic Four created because of, Kang, in a sense, that makes a little bit of sense, but I would much rather it be that they went out into space with Doom, and then they formed together because they got hit with the N rays, and so like that works. But like with this seems more organic. It's like, okay, well, that's a great way to introduce Mephisto.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just yeah, because they like obviously they want him coming in soon.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, is the Sacha Baron Cohen thing actually legit? I obviously, again, I'm so deep on the fucking leaks and the spoilers and the theories and stuff that are out there. I actually half the time I forget what's actually real and what's just speculation.
Um, I I would assume that it's more of a rumor right now.
Okay.
I don't think that he's going to be cast for sure, but I think he's in talks. So if they like, hopefully they do it, because I think that he would be a pretty good pick. The
Andre
only thing
thinks
that
it's official.
uh
I could have
ooh,
sworn it was official too. I don't know. If we can find something, maybe throw if there's a link to somewhere, maybe throw it in the comments below the video or something. Just
yeah,
if we can get something official there. Just again, I get confused sometimes as to what's actually official and what's not.
right. So yeah, like if you can get us like that information, that'd be great. But as far as I understand, it's still considered a rumor. Like we don't have any like
Yeah.
uh concrete details on whether or not he's going to be Mephisto. The only thing I'm wondering about is like how much of a goofy character are they going to make Mephisto? Because when I think of Sacha Baron Cohen, I'm thinking of the like Ali G, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of
Borat.
Borat,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know the Dictator, like stuff like that.
Has he ever played like a serious role? I know he's a comedian and stuff, but I don't. Has Sacha Baron Cohen ever played like a serious role? I if he has, I haven't seen it.
Same here,
He's only ever been a joker to me. Like,
right? I agree. Like I don't think I remember him being in anything that was actually serious. Um, but he is a man who plays multiple personalities, so I can see him being a dark influencer such as Mephisto. The
mhm.
like again, my only concern is that like they make it too silly.
Yeah. 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 Fingers crossed they don't do that.
Yeah,
what
definitely.
what do you make of the whole? Did you hear about the whole Mila Kunis thing that was going around like maybe a couple of weeks ago? I think we probably talked
With
about it
that,
at some point.
like that they were gonna make her Sue Storm.
So that was the original understanding, but then it came out that she could potentially be Ben Grimm, as in like they could be doing like a kind of a gender swap for the thing, and then she could become the thing instead of Ben Grimm. It could be like a female character becomes the thing instead. Like I'd be very upset if they turned Mila Kunis into the thing.
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. That'd be really weird. Like
Wouldn't it?
that's
It's
going a
too
little too.
weird. It's too weird.
It at that point you need to explain that it's a different universe
Yeah,
because that's a little too far off kilter.
yeah.
Um, update from Andre. He said it's not been officially stated. Rumors from 17th of March. So yeah, you know, Dan and Nerd said that
Josh usually knows what he's talking about. To be fair, I've been a big fan of the Den of Nerds for a few years now, and I could probably count the amount of times he's wrong on one hand. Like he's very he's usually quite accurate.
Mhm.
He's got good sources out there, so he doesn't usually make videos on stuff that he thinks could be fake anyway. So
Gotcha.
again, we'll have to wait and see. He
Right.
isn't right. He isn't right every time. Love you, Josh, but you're not right every single time. So we have to we have to wait for the official word to come out before we can actually start getting excited about these things. But
Yeah. You know what I am excited about though
go on.
is that there is a news, I guess, a post or something that is stated Liv Tyler has joined the cast of Captain America: New World
That
Order.
is true. That is 100% true. Yes, she is. She's reprising her role from the original.
This is
Hulk
Betty.
movie. Yeah.
I fucking love Betty.
Yeah. I
She
thought
was a
you'd like
pretty.
that. How did we
She
not
was a
talk about
pretty
that
good
before?
Betty. I don't
Yeah, she
know.
was. Yeah, she was good.
But I'm excited.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's good news. It's good news. It's going to be weird, obviously, because there'll be a different Hulk. Like she'll see Bruce, and it'll be Ruffalo, and it'll just be like, what? Yeah.
But like it's just they're bringing it back, man. Like you can't deny that the Incredible Hulk wasn't canon. Like it was totally 100% canon.
1,000%. And obviously, it would make sense that you'd come back with Ross's death and so on. Um, I wonder, are they actually going to kill Harrison in the movie? Like, as in Harrison Ford steps in, he's Ross for a little bit, and then maybe they have a funeral, because I think there's a funeral scene, and she's seen at a funeral scene. That's kind of what the leaks are saying. And
Interesting.
then perhaps maybe he dies, but then he gets revived as Red Hulk or something like that, and then we kind of just continue with Harrison maybe doing voice work and doing some CGI work or something like that.
Oh man, that would be kind of odd, like to have him die and then come back as Red Hulk. Like that just seems kind of weird to me. Like it'd be, I don't know, it'd be kind of weird in my eyes. I think it would be much better if Liv Tyler's character, like Betty, dies, and then you have Betty die, and then you have a reason for Hulk to become savage again, because that shit's devastating to him. That's Bruce's squeeze, man. She's gone. He's got no control left. Like, but that's
how connected could he be to Betty after all these years? Like, he hasn't seen her in so long, and he's like
he loves
been
her.
in love with Natasha and stuff even since. So
who cares? He's like literally in my head, in his head. I speak for Hulk and say, who cares?
yeah,
I'd
like obviously
Betty's the number one.
The rumors out there that he becomes the president of the United States, Harrison Ford. So it would be weird if Ross did die, but if Betty's coming to a funeral, like whose funeral would it be for her to come back?
It's hers. She's the one in the coffin.
No, I've seen pictures of her in like a black dress, and she's attending the funeral.
No, they're just trying it out.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's just her walking up to jump into the boxes.
It's like that scene in Anchorman 2 when they thought Brick was dead, and then he comes up to the podium.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Well, like, hear me out. So in the comics,
president's funeral, I like that. Okay, that could work. Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. Like he was already a candidate, and they were like looking for someone.
Yeah, maybe
And
it's like
so
a designated survivor sort of fucking situation where it's like, Ross isn't like the vice president, but like, he's a designated survivor. President,
right,
vice president die, and it's like, he just gets the automatic call up, and then that's
yeah,
maybe why Betty's around. I don't know.
it'd be weird, but like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but hear me out. So like, I don't know if you know that like about anything about Betty Ross. Like, do you know anything about her at all?
Very, very, very little. Yeah. Very little.
So she is also a Hulk in the comics.
Oh shit, here we go.
She's the Red She-Hulk.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that like that's why I'm saying like if we were to give her the funeral and have her die, then you have a reason for Bruce to feel so upset and depressed that like he doesn't want to be his normal like smart Hulk anymore. He's tired of it. He thinks that he could have done better if he had been stronger, like some sort of tragic thing that occurred.
Right.
And so like they split because they're now angry with each other again. So it's like, no, like you go your way, I go mine, no more control. And then it's like Savage Hulk again.
We somehow we need to get there. Like, I don't know if it's going to take something like that to happen, because to be honest, I understand what you're saying, and on paper it probably works, and in a comic world it would work if Betty was still around, but the way I see it is like Bruce and Betty haven't seen each other since like 2008. So
Dude,
like, how would you still have that connection to her? It doesn't really make sense to me. But
dude,
I like the idea of potentially Bruce trying to potentially, let's say he fights the Red Hulk, can't beat him, and then he realizes, I need to go savage to beat this guy. And then it's like he
yeah,
has to sacrifice the sanity to actually win the fight. That would be fucking epic, bro. Clip it, guys.
I'd be down with that too. I would totally be down with that too, because
We're
that
going into
makes
the writer's
sense.
room. Clip it. Clip it.
but you have to remember this too, Finto. Like you have, it's just like with Mary Jane and Peter Parker. It doesn't matter who Peter gets with. Peter has gotten with Black Cat before.
Oh yeah.
And then went back to Mary
Can't
Jane.
blame him.
Like,
Can't blame him either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Can't
because
blame
she's
him.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And like, so Betty is his like one, like is literally his one and only, but because he was on different planets as a Hulk wanted to find like his connection.
Yeah.
And so he finds his connection, he has the kid, and now we have Scar. So like Banner, like even though he was with Natasha, because like that's fine. I see the connection, but Natasha's gone. So to see Betty again, it's like holy. It's like with Star-Lord and Gamora. Like, duh, she's here. I want to get I want to get back with her.
Yeah.
She dies. It's tragic. He transforms
so
and goes chaotic.
It's just the time frame that I have the problem with.
I know, but it does, like, I swear it does not matter. This, like, Banner loves the fuck out of Betty.
Yeah.
Like, he, like, it's seriously, it's Mary Jane and Peter Parker. Loves the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
We'll never let her go. Ever. She is the linchpin. And so, like, when she dies, he goes fucking insane. Mm-hmm. And then she comes back as Red She-Hulk, like, I would say in a post-credits, because that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, that would be sick. Like, I would, but give, like, I love the idea of him splitting off and like going savage again to fight Red Hulk because he's not strong enough. It's especially similar to like when, he's Joe Fixit, because the Gray Hulk's not as strong as the Savage Hulk, because he's a smarter Hulk. He doesn't get stronger when he gets angrier. So like it makes sense to do that. But like having Betty die and then having like Red Hulk blame him or having Bruce blame like Red Hulk, like that would make things so concrete to like show this like split. And then like having Samson come by and be like, no, we had so much progress.
Yeah.
Because Samson is the therapist to like Bruce in the sense to help him like kind of link his mind together and become smart again. Smart Hulk.
Yeah.
Like so you kind of bring in the characters that were in originally from the 2008 movie. Was it 2008? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, like that's a way to organically bring it together. Like, you gotta not force them, but you gotta kind of put those characters in as concrete as possible so that it doesn't look like what the fuck, where you been?
Yeah, for sure. I just, while you were talking there, just to bring this comment up here just for a second, because I don't know if maybe this might have gone over your head. I don't know what you might not have known what he meant, but Den of Nerds put out a thing like ages ago saying like, that the Dungeons and Dragons movie was going to be like the best movie ever and it was going to do $1 billion. And I was talking about how obviously, Josh is very rarely wrong, but I actually just went on and just checked on IMDb. The global box office is 200 million, 203 million. Like that's bad, bro. That's a big flop. And to be honest, I really wanted to see the film. I just didn't get a chance to go see it. I have a fucking 4-month-old daughter now, so it's like, I have to pick and choose, because I have to get like my parents to watch the baby when we go to the movies and stuff. So I really got to pick what I can go and see, and that one just didn't cut it for me, unfortunately. But I would have loved to go see it. Like, would have loved to.
Right, because you think Chris Pine's like main character. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
He did a great job. But then I saw like, to be honest, when I saw Michelle Rodriguez, I'm like, okay.
Here we go.
I'm done. I don't want it.
Yeah. I actually really is chill to talk about Fury of the Gods. He said it's better than Fury of the Gods. Oh, sorry, he means sorry, never mind. He means box office wise. I actually really liked Fury of the Gods. I thought it was a good comic book movie.
Okay,
it's good.
Finto, I was like, I did not want to go to theaters to watch that, and I'm on TikTok. Like I'll scroll through things. Did you see that there was a kicker that people were taking like pirated movies and just like putting them on TikTok as live feed?
No.
Yeah.
So you were watching a live feed of a pirated version of Fury of the Gods.
Fury of the Gods. So I watched it and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Thank God I didn't pay for this.
I actually really enjoyed it. And like my girlfriend as well, who will be quite like critical about comic book movies. Like the two of us kind of walked out of that film and went, that was good. That was a comic book movie. Like that was really good. Like it was surprisingly good. And I think it's available on digital now. I think you can watch it.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
So
no,
I would definitely watch it if I were you.
Yeah,
just to see it. Like Helen Mirren's brilliant in it. And, it's definitely got its faults. Look, let's not beat around the bush here. But I thought it was a good movie. CGI was great in it. The fucking deepfake stuff I talked about it on the podcast before, but they actually had the deepfake stuff for Wonder Woman was fucking incredible. It was better than Star Wars. It's better than how they did it. It's fucking amazing, dude.
Man,
I genuinely thought Gal Gadot was in the film. Thought she was in it.
They love her theme so much. Every time she pops in,
I know.
It's like, come on.
I only rewatched the Snyderverse or the Snyder cut there last weekend on my new TV, and like love that fucking film. I did it in two parts. I did it like half and half because it's 4 hours. But every time Gal Gadot comes onto the screen, there's this like warrior princess kind of like screaming in the background, and it just gets it. I find it funny. But like every time, because like my girlfriend loves Wonder Woman, like she's her favorite character. Like every time she comes onto the screen, I could just see my girlfriend just going like, "Oh, Zach, why did you put that in?" Like every single time. It's like every single time she comes onto the screen, it's just like the warrior cry in the background, and it's just like the first time she comes in, I'm like, "Yeah, do it, it's great." But every fucking time she pops onto the screen, like in the middle of a fight sequence where there's no other like background music on, she'll like when it's her turn to take a move on Steppenwolf. In comes the fucking screams. It's like, will you stop? What are you doing, Zach?
Because like I don't know what it was, but they really wanted to push the fact that like, female superhero, like we love Wonder Woman. You don't need to push it in our face, God. Yeah, come on, man. Don't need to push it in our face. We love Wonder Woman here.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I was speaking with Andre about it before as well. Actually, he brings up kind of pirating and stuff. Apparently it's a big deal. Big crackdown on it in Germany.
Yeah,
I could sail the seas as much as I want. I download everything in 4K and I don't give a fuck. Come at me, boys. Come find me. Like, I don't give a shit. I have a fucking NAS drive in my gaff in my house, like with like 3 terabytes of shit on it. Like, you know what I mean?
Cut to next week.
Fair, I easily pay €100 or probably close to $120 a month on subscriptions for fucking content shit. I to be honest, I pay my way like 100%.
I pay my dues.
I
can
do.
Take what I want.
I fucking do, bro. I do. 100%. 100%.
Dude, I do have to agree with Chillin though. It is better than the Goats in Love and Thunder. Like it wasn't that bad.
Crazy, dude.
It wasn't that bad though. Like it was great. It was pretty bad, but it wasn't like super bad. Like they didn't like shove it in our faces all the time.
Do you know what annoyed me more than the Goats? Was like Mjolnir floating into the scene and just like, Mjolnir's a person now and he's getting upset.
Oh, with
because Stormbreaker, like that was funny the first time.
Oh my God.
They should have done it once, and that would have been it. But like the
Yeah,
amount of times that like Hemsworth was like turning around, like, "Oh hey buddy, how are you?" You know, like that just got fucking ridiculous.
it's so dumb. Like,
I hate that movie. Like Anakin hates sand. Fantastic. Well done, children. Well done.
I
GG's.
hate him.
Yeah. Excellent.
Oh man.
Excellent. Yeah, man. Like, look. To be honest, like we're nearly at the hour and a half mark. It's been a great laugh. If there's anything else you want to bring up, anyone in the chat or anything, now's the time. Otherwise, we can break for the week. I'm surprised we went that hour and a half. I'm actually shocked.
Yeah, they, like I'm
It was
telling
a
you, man,
marvelous chat. There's always something to talk about. I know this, but it's always, I find, like, you know, with the YouTube game, you need to have a good thumbnail. You need to have like a topic to talk about for people to come into. Like I was watching during this stream, I was watching like the numbers going up and down. I'd say people came in expecting some fucking juicy goss, and like we were just talking about the fucking MCU and stuff. Like some people were like, "Oh, this isn't what I think I want it to be," and they were just bailing out straight away, you know. So it's tough. Like, you know, anyone who makes YouTubes they know what we're at.
Yeah, I mean, people come and go, but rumors are forever.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, look, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you just hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video, leave us a comment below, let us know if you're listening to it on the replay as well. Yeah, really appreciate everyone being here. Appreciate everyone in the chat. And yeah, look, if there's nothing else, we'll break up for the week.
Later.
Bye.